no technology is foolproof. Some promise better privacy than others. Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, they're secure till they're not. And when they stop being secure, when there's a breach of privacy, who should take the blame? Is it the messaging apps? Is it the companies that sell spyware like NSO? Or the governments of the world which are utterly incompetent and thoroughly uninformed on issues such as these? Or is it we the people who have failed to understand the seriousness of privacy issues? This is a classic whodunit question. But I'm afraid that the answers are not straightforward. On Wion Edit, we'll try to understand this rather complex issue. Now, commercial spyware abuse is a global problem, and there will never be a complete solution. This is because spywares can be placed using multiple vectors. Let me cut the jargon. A vector is basically a means of infection, just like in medicine. It can be a missed call. It can be a video call. It can be a link. And you don't even have to pick the call to be hacked. So we're all vulnerable. Now there are other vectors. 2 years ago, a Mexican journalist was murdered. A week after his death, his wife was sent alarming text messages with links about his death. Unfortunately, she did not click on those links, and later she found out, had she done so, her phone would have been attacked and possibly hacked by the very same NSO group's Pegasus software. So who will stop this? Many governments across the world are inept to deal with this. But here's the bigger worry. Many governments could be active participants in this surveillance game. Companies like NSO have been exposed, but there could be others doing the same. Who do they serve? These hackers are employed by governments across the world. Let's talk about India. Cybersecurity is a serious issue in India as anywhere else. We have the laws. Section 43 of the Information Technology Act says that hackers are liable for 3 years in jail and a fine of up to 5 lakh rupees. Great law, we say, at least on paper. Last we checked, the government of India is struggling with encryption. The Supreme Court asked them to explain why they needed the help of companies like Facebook to break the codes. This is because the government is asking for the support of platforms to decrypt messages, to access messages. The problem is these platforms themselves have no solutions to privacy threats. It's quite a mess. Regulation on the internet is a tricky issue. It is always privacy versus security. But it's safe to say that India's position on both is primitive and unevolved, which brings us to you and me, the users. There are too many pitfalls on your smartphone, I have to tell you. All the apps on your phone communicate with each other and share data. So even if one of them is compromised, the others are breached. One bad apple and all that. I'm told this issue has been addressed in Signal, but you never know. And this is just the messaging apps, the tip of the iceberg. What about the search engines? Google and Chrome have alternatives like DuckDuckGo, which I've just discovered today, and Tor. What do you do on the internet, and what kind of a trail does it leave? It happens in ways that you cannot imagine, perhaps. And this is the information era. You always leave a digital footprint. As with every revolution, the tech revolution will truly benefit us when we take an active part, both in usage and in vigilance. Look at this. The most popular apps are the most vulnerable apps, and yet we use them because they have the first mover advantage or the most features or perhaps more speed. At some point, we have to understand that privacy is a bigger issue than all these attractive baits. So is it time to think about open source where one company or app does not set the rules? Think about it. This is still work in progress.